Welcome to Unforbidden Truth. I'm Andrew. On this week's episode, I'll be speaking with convicted serial rapist Gerald Friend. Kurt Cobain of Nirvana was inspired to write the song Polly after reading about Gerald Friend's crimes in the local newspaper at the time. Gerald Friend is convicted of raping a 12-year-old girl and a 14-year-old girl. He was originally arrested for the rape of a 12-year-old girl who was hitchhiking. The girl's brother was with her at the time, but Friend forced him out of the car at gunpoint. He took the girl to Mount Rainier National Park, pulled over, and beat and raped her. The girl eventually escaped after she ran and jumped into a nearby river, where she was seen by a passing motorist. Days later, he was found hiding in a field near his family's home. His father called the police, and his father had pulled out a .22 to protect himself while waiting for police. There was a struggle between Gerald and his father. Gerald was wounded during the struggle with his father, and he was taken to the hospital, where he was detained and charged with the beating and rape of the 12-year-old girl. Gerald Friend was convicted of rape and torture. He received a 75-year prison sentence for that crime. Gerald served 20 years of a 75-year prison sentence, and he even escaped prison twice. He was eventually paroled in 1980. 7 years after being paroled, Gerald found a 14-year-old girl to abduct at knife point. He repeatedly raped and tortured the girl while she was suspended above the ceiling of his mobile home. The girl escaped by jumping out of his truck at a gas station. He was pulled over the next day for a traffic violation, and he was arrested when deputies recognized who he was. Gerald Friend was ultimately charged and convicted of kidnapping and rape. He was ordered to serve the remainder of his previous 75-year prison sentence, which would be 55 years, plus an additional 75 years for the second torture and rape. Here's my interview with convicted serial rapist Gerald Friend. What was your childhood like growing up, Gerald?
It was pretty lonely.
What was lonely about it?
Well, because I was kind of an isolated kid. It's pretty hard to talk about, it's just, it's been years ago.
Was it something that was not so good? Did you suffer any type of abuse or trauma growing up?
Yes, it is. That's why in the 60s, they had that recording, and it brought a lot of attention to my growing up.
So did you suffer physical, sexual, emotional abuse growing up as a child?
No, not that. Just being lonely, just being a farm kid.
You didn't have many friends, or you didn't have many people to talk to?
Not really, because I was a farm kid. My parents were both working, so it's pretty lonely existence.
So you grew up on a farm?
Yes, I did.
What was your behavior like growing up as a child throughout life, from your early years throughout your teenage years?
Pretty isolated, because it's a problem I didn't find out until in the mid-60s. I can talk about it now, but, because my mom, I have two older brothers, and my mom wanted a girl. So when I was born, she treated me like a girl for years. And it just ruined my life.
What would she do to treat you as a woman or as a girl?
Well, no, because she always referred to me as a little girl. There was no sexual abuse or nothing, but it was just growing up like that was kind of traumatic.
Would she get you like dresses or skirts or anything like that?
No. But I didn't find out about this until the mid-60s. Because, in the mid-60s, I don't know, are you familiar with cyclotemesis?
No, I don't believe so.
No, it's where you're put to sleep, and anything you say is from your memory, not from your existence. It's hard to explain on these phones because I can't hardly talk. I could write this, if you're, if over a period of time, it's so hard to talk about it.
We don't have to talk about it if it bothers you a lot.
Well, because see, right now with all this isolation going on, the telephones are pretty limited. And it's so noisy here. It's hard to hear, hard to talk. That's why I isolate myself from the phones.
We can talk about the case that landed you in prison, your original sentence of 75 years.
Yeah.
You were paroled after 20 years, and you escaped from prison twice. You were sentenced to 75 years for kidnapping and rape of a 12-year-old girl in 1960. Can you recall the events that led up to the kidnapping, rape, and assault of the young girl?
Well, yeah, a little bit. It just it happened all of a sudden. It just because they got blown out of proportion, and I never did find out. Because there was no sexual contact. There was nothing. But my because I pled insanity, and they were supposed to send me to a state hospital, and that finally fell through, and then they sent me to life.
So what really happened that day then to that girl? You said it was blown out of proportion. So of course you know the real details that happened that day. So what really did go on that day?
Well, I don't like to talk about it over a phone. Because these people misinterpret everything I say. Everything I've said all my life has been misinterpreted, and it comes back to haunt me, and I'm tired of it.
Well, that's why we have the opportunity now to put everything to rest, so you have a voice and you are heard in the light of what really happened, what didn't happen. You can separate fact from fiction.
Yeah, I know, but what good is it going to do me now?
Well, you never know. It's never too late to clear your conscience, or it's never too late to to want to change and do better.
Yeah, well, I changed. I was on parole from 70 to this time here, and it just jumped up from. I'm sorry, and it just happened. You see, right now, because I'll never see a board, I'll never see any kind of release of possibilities. I don't have nobody to see until something like 20 years from now. So I really can't say nothing.
You feel like being quiet is better than talking about what happened?
No, because if they would listen to me, but they never listen. I tried because I tried over the years, and it just nobody wants to listen.
I'm here to listen if you want to talk. I'm here to listen to you, and I'm not here to judge you or.
I can't talk on these damn phones. Because I can't hear, I can't hardly talk. It's been 20 years since I used the phone. It's the second time I used the phone in my life.
How old are you now?
I'm 83, being 83 this month. Because I think the last time I talked to anybody was in the 80s before my wife died.
Well, that's more than 20 years ago. That's about 40 years ago.
Yeah, I know that, And that's why I was out of state, and I was calling my wife, talking to her when I was in Oklahoma. And that's the last time I used the phone.
Are you aware of a song by Nirvana called Polly?
Yes, I am.
What are your thoughts on that? You know that it's that he got inspiration behind the crimes by reading a newspaper. How do you feel about that song?
Yeah, but I've been trying to track that phone down, for years, and I can't find out nothing. I got all kinds of stuff on that internet out there about me and my crime and everything else, and half of it's true, half of it's not true. But how in the fuck am I going to challenge it? I can't. There ain't no way. I get letters in here from people from Australia and England and everywhere else asking me the same question you asked me just now. Who inspired that song? Why was that song written? I don't know.
Does it upset you that it was written?
Well, yeah, but if they slam in my face, just like you did just now. I try to talk to people, and they say, well, we remember that song. I don't remember nothing. Because that song has been, it's been a deathbed to me. They wrote an article and 2 books about me. But I can't find out who read them, why they said, because see, my last name is Friend. And they misinterpret that because, if you got a friend, that's my name. And that's where all these interpretations coming from. Okay, that's my name. So they're saying that, because my name, I've been slammed for it. This is not the first time I got, these people that, I've been getting letters from Australia and everything else because they want me to use my name to make money. And I'm tired of it.
It could be time to set the record straight so nobody can make money off of it. So the story's out there, and that's that.
Yeah, but nobody wants to listen to the story.
Oh, I think people do. I think if we did this interview thoroughly, I think you would be surprised at how many people are interested in hearing what you have to say.
Yeah, so they can give me more time in prison.
I think they've given you enough time as it is.
Yeah, but see, in the mid-'60s when I was at Walla Walla, I was in the mental health ward. And they run what they call the psychiatric interview where you sleep and you're monitored. You ever heard of that?
Like a sleep analysis.
Yeah. Okay. They run that in 1960 when in Walla Walla, and they found out a whole bunch of stuff that I wasn't aware of. But they didn't do a damn thing after that. I told almost 10 years because they wanted to send me to a state hospital when I left Walla Walla. And I fought with the people in Walla Walla for almost 10 years. They said, well, we'll release you, but you have to go to a mental health hospital. But the mental health hospital wouldn't accept me until I went on parole. And this went on for 10 years. You understand that? So then when I got out, I moved away from where I lived. I moved clear down away from and I lost my job because the restaurant closed down. I had to move back home. And when I moved back home, everything went right back to normal.
And this is the first time after you got out of prison, right?
Yes, it is. I've had a terrible life. All my life I've been hated, and nobody likes me. So why even make an interview? It's just like, the only reason why I'm calling you back is because you asked me to.
I think people would like to hear your story regardless if you think they do or not, because you do have a story to tell. And you're 83 years old, and unfortunately, when you leave this planet, your story is no longer going to be able to be told because you're the only one that can dictate, that.
No, because then they start digging up records. They start digging up shit that's happened years ago. That's it's just like, okay, they said that I committed a crime against this girl, and they said, well, it's just like, I murdered a girl. Yes, I murdered her, but they didn't find out about it for years. And the only reason why they found out about it because they threw me in the Green River Task Force.
You did indeed murder the girl that you're suspected of?
Yeah, but I confessed to it after I'd been in prison for almost 9 years because they couldn't prove. They just had it's a long story. I don't want to talk about it, please.
Does that bring up bad memories?
Yes, it does.
Is it hurtful or harmful to you to think about those memories?
Yes, it is.
How does it make you feel?
I think about them every day, and I want to kill myself. Because I just can't. There's no rhyme or reason for me to live.
Do you think the only justice is a body bag?
Yes, it is.
What would make you change your mind? What would make you think otherwise?
Well, probably nothing, because there's nothing more to say. I tried to say my piece a long time ago, and nobody will listen to me. Nobody will listen to me now. I won't never go back to court until I die.
I know it doesn't mean much to you, but I'll listen to you and I won't interject, or I'll let you speak your piece.
Yeah, but it's hard for me to speak on this phone. It's hateful for me to be on the phone. I mean, because I can't hear and can't hardly talk. It's just. The only reason why I called you back is because you asked me to. I said to myself, I said, "Well, the hell with you. I don't want to talk to you." Because it's just going to bring up more memories.
You're convicted right now. Your second sentence. You're convicted of abducting a 14-year-old girl at gunpoint. Can you walk us through all the events that led up to that case? I know there was. They claim that there was torture involved in this particular case. Can you talk about that case?
I will a little bit, but I really hate to, because it really bothers me every time I start talking about it. I know it's a vicious crime, and I'm guilty of it, and I'm serving my time out. Please, I don't want to discuss it.
Once you're stopped by the police the next day for a traffic violation, deputies recognize you from composite sketches, and you're arrested for the kidnapping. How'd you feel when you were in handcuffs again, knowing that you probably weren't going to get out anytime soon?
Well, I was handcuffed in Yakima, Washington. That was something like 160 miles from where I lived. I've been in handcuffs all my life, so it really it bothered me, yeah. But, there's nothing I could do about it.
Did you know you were going back to prison for a long time, or did you think you were going to beat it?
No, I knew I was going back to the jail, but my gun was in the saddlebags of the motorcycle.
Do you wish that you had your gun at the time?
No, because it was in. Because I don't want to hurt people. It's just, it's just something that happened. And I got this evil person in the back of my mind, and it controls my life.
So you're ultimately arrested, charged, and convicted of the kidnapping and rape, the new charges. You're ordered to serve the remainder of your previous prison sentence, along with an additional 75 years for the additional kidnapping and rape. What was it like when you were handed down that second 75-year sentence? What was going through your head?
Well, I knew I was going back to prison, but what else can I do? If the crime happened and I knew I was guilty of it, and that's it. I didn't protest my, or violently strike out. I just went ahead and accepted where I had to go.
At one point in time, you were a suspect in the Green River killer case, right?
Yes, I was.
Did they question you or interrogate you back then?
No. The only thing they did, they took all my evidence from my car and everything else and took it to the Green River Task Force.
Did anything else happen after that, or did they just leave you alone?
No, because I didn't even know about this, except that my wife found out about when she went down to get the car.
It was a shock to you that you were a suspect in America's most infamous unsolved serial homicides?
Yes, because right after that, then they arrested the Green River Killer. But see, I told my wife to go down and get the car so she would have it. And when she went down to find out about it, they said it was at the Green River Task Force. And that's all I know about it.
Ironically, you're locked up in the state of Washington where the Green River Killer is locked up. Have you ever had any interactions with him?
Oh, yeah. I met him over in the hole, and, I didn't really get a chance to meet him, but I said hi to him as I walked by him.
You didn't tell him that you were a suspect for his crimes at one point?
No, because we was not allowed to talk. Because, see, he was down there on death row, and I happened to be in the segregation unit, and we just passed by each other, and you're not allowed to talk to each other. So I didn't really get a chance to say hi to him or nothing.
You'll be 83 years old at the end of this month. How do you spend your days
Yeah.
in prison?
Well, right now they got this virus going on, and we're locked down 24 hours a day. Normally I'm working in the sewage department, the kitchen, and making a little bit of money and trying to, do what I can.
On a day-to-day basis, what do you do on a day-to-day basis to stay busy and to keep sane and to continue pushing on?
Well, I was working from 10:20 in the morning until almost 9 o'clock at night.
What were you doing for work?
I was working in the main kitchen, serving food, cleaning tables, doing kitchen work.
Do you like that job?
Well, that's the only job I can have.
At almost 83 years old, do you think you'll ever be released for the crimes you've committed?
No, because I will never see the board until something like 10 years from now. So my case is never reviewed.
Before we conclude this interview, is there anything you would like to say after all of these years?
Yes, I don't believe in this legal system here in Washington. Because what happened to me, I should have had more rights in my hearing. I should have had more say so, but I didn't. I didn't have no say so, no nothing. I went to court and they told me to shut my mouth and they sentenced me to life, and that was it. They should have asked me what I felt. They shouldn't have let my mom in the courtroom, but they wouldn't even let my mom in the courtroom. So how am I going to protest something when they won't allow me to speak?
That was my interview with Gerald Friend. Thank you for tuning in. I hope to see you on the next one.